Hey everybody, welcome to the third episode of the Deviating. You do it.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Deviating Tangents, the show that answers the question, what happens when you give ADOLS a web show?
What is ADOLS, Scott?
Attention deficit. Oh look, shiny.
It is really a show where we just never get back to the point. It's a show where we'll just go and go and go and go. And I'd like to formally apologize for there not being an episode last week. Life just happened to happen and stepped on both of our toes. So there's a tiny week hiatus, but there wasn't anything stopping us from getting back to business as normal. So here we are.
Yeah, it turns out vehicles are a pain in the butt.
Yep, and registering vehicles with the DMV is also a pain in the butt.
But everything's good now. We should be back on schedule.
Yeah. Superpowers. Ever heard of them? Everybody's heard of them. Who wants them?
And what would you do with them? How would you use them? Would you be a good super? Would you be a bad super? Would you be Will Smith and Hancock? Would you just sit there and do nothing?
I think it comes down to what your powers were.
Yep.
I know that the anime My Hero Academia really starts to, especially lately, has been getting into diving into the deep psychological factor of, it's not just how would you use a superpower if you had it, but how your superpower would affect your life.
That's an avenue I don't think I've seen explored in very many things.
Yeah.
We've all seen the Spider-Man where he just, oh hey, I can swing around on webs and stick things to things and crawl up walls. But we don't really see how that affects his psyche. It affects his day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Like what would his house look like if it was designed around his powers? Would he have stairs? Would he just sling web up there?
Yeah. That's essentially that's the question I would ask is how much would a particular power start to change how you live your life?
Right.
And not to alienate people with the Japanese anime, but My Hero does a really good job of and sometimes it's if you got if powers were bestowed at random, imagine you didn't get a choice in what your powers were. What if you got something that was just detrimental or something that could be taboo
Or just completely not in your lifestyle whatsoever?
Yeah, what if your superpower could only be activated by ingesting somebody else's blood? You have to physically harm somebody now to be able to make your powers work.
And is your power worth it to do that?
Exactly. And what if it gets even more broad? What if you had there's a character in the show, Tomura Shigaraki. He's one of the villains. His quirk, superpower, whatever you want to call it, is called decay. Essentially, anything he touches, he could just make it just disintegrate. Sucks all the life out of it, just as dust.
So the opposite of a green thumb.
Yes, quite literally. It's that episode of Fairly Odd Parents with the magic garden, and his mom's like, everything I touch dies! But, so...
Hey, Dinkelberg, come here.
Would you like to give my wife a celebratory hand touch? But just, imagine, and I think he can control, so it's not he has to wear gloves or anything.
Right.
But, so it's he can control whether or not it goes off. But it's you have a superpower, but your superpower only breaks stuff. Mm-hmm. It's we think about superpowers, and it's flight, super strength, invulnerability, heat vision. It's in what situation would heat vision really be useful?
You would never need a microwave or an oven ever again.
But if it's a beam, it's focused on a point. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna burn through your hot dog. But you'd have to look at every particular square millimeter. Every square millimeter of your hot dog to be able to cook it.
Or just spin the hot dog. Just put it on a rotisserie.
So is your heat vision, is it a line or is it a cone?
I mean,
can you choose?
If the guy can adjust the intensity of his decay hands, I would assume you can adjust the intensity of your eye beams.
What if you're
squint really hard?
What if your heat vision? What if your heat vision was only like 10 degrees above your body temperature? So you just look at people and they start getting warm.
Like enough to be uncomfortable, but not enough for them to notice anything.
Because it's not like looking at somebody, like looking at something makes it that temperature.
Yeah.
But like you have like the air interference and like air wind resistance. So by the time, so just looking at somebody is like, this is moderately uncomfortable.
That person is staring daggers at me. Yeah, they are.
That's what I like. What I like about superpowers are the ones that allow you to like think with your imagination. Green Lantern is a great example of that. I'm not really a big DC fan, but Green Lantern's like the exception to that rule. I think he has the coolest superpower because the power is all in the power ring. So the green ring he has to recharge. So it's like he has to keep on top of his ring's batteries. And so it's not just like, oh, as long as I have it, I'm unstoppable. It's like there's a limit to what he can do with it and stuff. But like
beyond that, he can do anything with
the power ring is limited to his imagination, which is why the Hal Jordan. I'm talking about the Hal Jordan one, not the Jon Stewart one.
He can't fly, right? He doesn't have an innate flying ability.
But I think he can like cover himself in a lighter than air hard light material that allows him to fly, because Green Lantern can fly.
Yeah, okay. So I was assuming he couldn't fly himself. He could use the power ring to make a jet. Yeah. And then the jet can fly, and now he can
like
fly.
A car.
Yeah.
So I think there's a specifics to this where you have to know you have to know exactly how the thing works.
Yes.
So it's like if you made yourself a jet, you'd have to know exactly where every screw is, where every spring goes.
Which then, I suppose, would give his power like a detriment. Because, you know, you look at something like Superman, he can do anything just because. Yeah. He's a very Mary Sue. Yeah. But with the Green Lantern, if he wants to expand his powers, he needs to keep learning.
Yeah, and he has to read a book.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have he can't flip through a book in an instant like the Flash or
He'd
Superman
have to actually retain the information and learn it.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the Flash and just how he's a stupid character.
What's wrong with the Flash?
So you mentioned that the Flash can flip through a book and immediately retain all the information.
Yeah.
Right?
Superman could do that too.
So that's because the Flash moves so fast that he can just read everything very quickly. His mind moves fast as well as his body. Yeah. Right? Why does he get hit?
That's just for writing purposes, because your characters can't be so overpowered that they're just perfect.
No, but if he can see things fast, if he can perceive reality faster than anyone else, he should be able to see that punch coming, and he moves at the speed of light. He can get out of the way. Why does he get punched in the face?
I would have to look up the specifics on that because I'm not the authority on the Flash. But
I'm also saying all these things only having a tangential understanding of any superheroes.
But it's because it's a story first.
That's fair.
It's a story first, and then a hard. I'm calling it a magic system, but it's a hard magic system second.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense.
And it's you have the Flash. He's so fast he can't be touched, and that's it. Your character's boring. No one's gonna buy your comic because there's no.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of superheroes are boring, but that's not inherently their fault.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these movie studios have just jumped the shark and made everything about merchandising, everything about advertising. If you go back and watch the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it's very noticeable that they're advertising Dr. Pepper throughout the entire movie.
Yeah. But you say that only having seen the first and second, Spider-Man.
That has no bearing on what I said. While that is correct, that does not invalidate what I said.
Scott has not seen Spider-Man 3. He has not watched either of the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And
I will still, to this day, say Tobey Maguire is the best Spider-Man.
so that's going to get you some hate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I know a lot of people that prefer the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but I question how many of those people say that from a purely nostalgic point.
That's fair, yeah.
And it's like, I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but I also like all the Spider-Men. Except Tom Holland. And it's not because he's a bad Spider-Man. It's because he's younger than me. And that means that I am now too old to be Spider-Man. But that has nothing to do with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I just hate that someone younger than me is Spider-Man.
I mean,
it doesn't have to be Tom. I love the kid. He's great.
That doesn't necessarily mean you can't be Spider-Man. I mean, John Mulaney and Nick Cage are both Spider-Man.
Yeah, but they're different. I want to be the guy, you know? I don't want to be the Nick Cage Spider-Man from Spider-Verse.
What's wrong with Nick Cage?
Nothing's wrong. Okay, a lot of things are wrong. A lot of things are wrong with Nick Cage, but
Not the bees.
I'm not in a position to talk shit about Nick Cage, all right? Speaking of, I love Nick Cage. But there's something, the lights are on, but nobody's home.
I want to take his face off.
I love that movie. Don't even get me started about Face Off. I just love the concept. Imagine the pitch of that movie.
Yep.
Okay, so I have an idea for a movie. What is it? It's called Face Off. It's where there's this cop and there's this villain. They're like arch rivals, and they essentially switch faces with each other, and they have to live each other's lives. Oh, like Freaky Friday. Yes, but with guns. And who are we gonna get to be these characters? Well, the bad guy turning good guy is going to be Nicolas Cage. Oh, okay. And the good guy turning bad guy is going to be John Travolta. So we have to have one big Hollywood ego portray another big Hollywood ego. Exactly, yes. Sign me up. I want to. Such a good movie. It's one of those bad it's good movies.
Yeah,
it's a John Woo action film. It's just good.
I mean, that's true for a lot of Nick Cage movies. Like, they're not good, but they're not bad. Like I'll watch National Treasure, I'll watch Ghost Rider, but they're movies.
I'm not truly immersed in this film. I'm very well aware that what I'm watching is a movie.
We are Legion. Oh yeah, now my penance stare works on you. Fantastic, great. Such a stupid.
I remember virtually nothing. I know the broad points of Con Air.
I don't remember it.
It was
I might
a
not have
movie
seen
where Nicolas Cage gets arrested and sent to like a high max security prison for beating up a guy.
Oh, so like Face Off.
Like within an inch of his life, or maybe he killed him. I don't remember. But like he was going to see, like, I think he was divorced from his wife, and he was bringing his like 5-year-old daughter a birthday present.
That sounds like something Cage would do.
And so like he's waiting in the rain, and the guy's like trying to like mug him, and he's like, I'll give you whatever you want, just don't touch the bunny, the stuffed animal. And the guy's just like I don't give a shit about the bunny, and he snaps and kills the guy or whatever. But all I remember is one line, and he has to portray like this southern drawl, and he's like, put the bunny down. That's the only thing I remember from this movie. And yet I remember it fondly.
I like Nick Cage.
I love him.
I don't want to say he's a good actor, but he's an actor I enjoy watching.
I would have him on the show. Like, Nick Cage.
We can't have him on the show just after I said he's not a good actor.
I want to see you and him fight to the death.
All right. Well, so episode 4 is going to be...
Celebrity Death Match.
Oh, that... We should bring that show back.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic show. And
somebody donate us a large amount of money so we can remake Celebrity Deathmatch.
I think with the current celebrity climate, I think Celebrity Deathmatch would have a lot of material for decades to come.
Oh yeah, just from like the last year.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Or 4.
5. 4.5.
Since the show got canceled.
Yeah, really. Stuff like that just needs to not... Stuff like that, it's... Like, I get it. You cancel a show because ratings and how much money it's pulling into the studio. But it's like, when it's a show that satirizes real life...
Yeah.
It's like Saturday Night Live. It's like, it'll never go off the air. There's too much.
There's always new material.
Yes. Just look outside and go, I can write a bit about that.
South Park, from start to finish, makes a new episode every single week.
Yep.
Just by looking at real life.
And it's always a what happened to this week kind of episode.
Yeah.
Al Gore was right.
He's half man, half bear, half pig.
No, I love when shows do that thing where it's like they give like bad proportions. Like a half man, half bear, half pig is 150% or 1.5.
Yeah.
It's like the Family Guy bit where they're in a race or something. I just remember Meg and Chris water skiing, like water jetting across like a lake or across an ocean. And
all right.
And Chris is like Mag, can you loosen your grip? Your nipples keep poking into me. And she's like, I'm sorry, that happens when they get cold. And he's like, why are there 3 of them? She's like, they're not. 2 of them are moles. That still doesn't add up.
Meg, I think her voice actor has changed, but Meg's original voice actor was Mia Kunis.
I haven't watched it recently, but as far as I know, it's still...
Is it?
Still, I think it's still Mila Kunis.
I thought she quit to do other things. Anyway,
I thought she would have to be fired because she would, considering who she is, she would have to make way too much money for the show to be profitable.
Did you know that she used to play World of Warcraft?
Oh yeah.
She had to stop using Ventrilo because she has such a unique voice
that everybody would be like,
exactly.
Yeah, everybody would say the thing.
Yeah.
Shut up. No, wasn't it you who was telling me? Well, I remember reading about it, and then you reminded me like months later that Henry Cavill almost wasn't Superman because he was raiding.
Yes, he missed a phone call because he was raiding. Which is
love
fantastic.
Stuff like that. I love that Superman.
Yes.
Like, freaking Superman is a huge nerd. I love that.
It helps when these actors in these super nerdy roles are nerds themselves.
Oh yeah,
because that gives a genuality, a realistic quality to the experience.
Yeah,
like if Star-Lord was Nick Cage, that probably wouldn't. No.
I think it would work better, but that's for a different reason. I'm not knocking Chris Pratt. He's a great actor. He's a great looking dude.
Yeah. But
now I want to see a Nicolas Cage Star-Lord. Thanks.
All right. So maybe Nick Cage was a bad example, but you know what I'm saying. Like you need a nerdy person to play a nerdy role.
Which is why, I guess we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Since the last episode, there was a September Nintendo Direct. Mm-hmm. What Nintendo Directs are, for those of you that are unaware, Nintendo, essentially they do a live half-hour to hour-long broadcast of news. Mm-hmm. And with this most recent Nintendo Direct, they had announced that Shigeru Miyamoto came on with I think the acting president, not the president, but whoever was announcing. I can't remember his name for the life of me. He does like all the directs. Shigeru Miyamoto, Mr. Mario, like invented Mario, invented the Zelda franchise, Donkey Kong, all that stuff, all the good stuff, all the stuff you remember playing in the 80s.
It's so important to Nintendo, he's not allowed to bike to work.
Exactly. He's like Mr. Big, essentially. But came out and made the announcement that Nintendo is working with Illumination Studios to make a Mario Brothers movie, which has Chris Pratt, speaking of, And I love that it's not just Chris Pratt it's the cast. It's the whole cast. It's Pratt as Mario, Charlie Day as Luigi.
Which is going to be hilarious.
That's going to be great regardless. That's like John Leguizamo playing Luigi in the original Mario Brothers movie. It's like he could have done it. He could have done it. That could have worked.
Which, for the record, is another one of those terrible movies that I still enjoy watching.
That everyone hated.
Yes.
Like, everyone on the production team didn't like it.
I mean, they were drunk the whole time.
Yeah, Hoskins was, at the very least. But, no, you got Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, you got freaking Bowser's going to be played by Jack Black.
Which is just fantastic.
That's
the movie right there.
That's just pure fun. Seth Rogen's going to be Donkey Kong and a bunch of other people. What I like about this casting choice is all of these people were young people that would have grown up with an NES playing the very first Mario.
Jack Black was actually in a commercial for the Game Boy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you're surrounding yourself not just with nerds, but with people that fit the demographic of what these franchises, what these IPs were originally made for. That this is a movie for them. Maybe not us, not our generation per se, but give it 20 years, there will be another Mario movie. And it will be with people like us. It'll be what our Mario means to us, or what our Zelda, whatever movie comes out.
Oh, the Zelda movie would be fantastic.
I wish that idea would just stop getting kicked around. Like, there's always, like, it goes back to, like, 2006, or I think it was 2008, where there was the April Fools, the live-action Zelda movie prop that went up, and everybody was, like, losing their minds. Like, oh, it's going to be a Zelda movie. It's like, that came out on April 1st.
Yep.
It's like, that was clearly a joke. It was a well-made joke, but I would have watched it.
So that's the thing that I'm not super a fan of April Fool's jokes like that. Not just because I don't, there are some times where stories are very convincing that don't, like at the end of the joke, they should say, oh, hey, yeah, this was just a joke.
Yeah.
And so people don't misconstrue and say, oh, yeah, this is absolutely real. Because there are some stories that come out on April 1st that are actually 100% real that sound like jokes.
Yeah.
And if you can't discern what's real from what's not real, then you run into all kinds of problems.
One of my favorite examples, I guess we're still talking about video games.
Yeah.
One of my favorite examples of not an April Fool's joke, but I don't know if it was intentioned that way, but if you go back and play the original Punch-Out, if you play through the whole campaign and you beat Super Macho Man, not to be confused with Macho Man Randy Savage, ooh yeah, but gotta snap and do a Slim Jim. If you play through the entire campaign, you beat Super Macho Man, and you win, you beat the game, there is the following day, or maybe it's even the same day, in the game, there's a newspaper that's printed with, it's like, new champion, Lil Mac as your champion, beats Super Macho Man, Macho Man retires, dated as April 1st, 1987. So it's like, oh, how much would that suck? And it's like, you legitimately beat the world heavyweight champion boxer, but everyone's gonna think it was a joke, and like you beat the odds to beat this guy.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna think of it as a joke, and then you go on to fight Iron Mike Tyson.
Right. And there's a tell in the background of when you can hit him that apparently wasn't found until like 30-something years later. A lot of those old classic games are there's a lot of things hidden in them that people just don't see.
Yeah.
I've been watching a couple of videos on diving into the code of old games.
Yeah.
Like the actual machine code and not just
I love how simple they had to be designed because you didn't have space.
Yeah, exactly. So the entirety, every single game ever made for the Nintendo Entertainment System, less than 2 gigabytes of space. Every single game together, less than 2 gigs.
Yep. And that's like all the the dozens and
all of the shovelware.
Easily talking like 150 shovelware titles of garbage.
Yeah. But, you know, when each game is 32K, 64K, you know, that doesn't take a lot of space. But the amount of things that you have to do with that space is just insane.
Yeah.
There are, you know, screenshots of the original Super Mario Bros. That take up more disk space than the entire game does.
Yeah.
And that's just mind-boggling.
That's what I loved about Flash.
Yeah.
I missed Flash as like a rendering asset simply because like you could make games. Like games, they were simple, but they were serviceable. And like all the assets, all the commands, all the controls, like 13K. 13.
Enter Newgrounds.
And that's how Newgrounds got big. That's how Homestarter.com made an empire, was like mixing. I was watching a video about this the other day. I'm going to see if I can find it so I can properly cite.
We got Congregate, Albino Black Sheep, just all of those old Flash websites.
I miss Congregate. Thank you for reminding me of like a part of my childhood that's like now I'm like upset because. All right, what was it?
I used to spend, you know, hours playing old Flash games. Stick RPG.
I have to be after this.
Defend Your Castle.
I love games like that.
And Fishy. I would spend hours playing Fishy.
Fishy always reminds me of. I guess I confused it a lot. Fishy always reminded. Where is this? For those, this is an audio show, so you wouldn't know. Oh, here it is. Lord Ravenscraft on YouTube.com. The video is called Homestar Runner: How to Master a Dying Art Form. It's 26 minutes and 23 seconds long, so it's a bit lengthy, but I mean, you're listening to our show, so you've got time.
Yeah.
So if you're ever interested in, like, this is a really good video on like paying tribute to Homestarrunner.com and all that kind of stuff, which I fit into like the micro generation of people that know what that is. So bonus points. I'm going to start awarding bonus points during this show. They can't be cashed in for anything later. They're absolutely pointless, but they'll make you feel better if you collect them. It's like a gold star, but without the gold star.
Compete with your friends for the high score.
Seriously. But I'm going to start handing out like bonus points to people who know the really weird, like specifically oddly acute shit that we start talking about.
Super obscure references.
Yeah.
The stuff that even we don't fully understand.
Yeah. That's like, if you are part of the micro generation like me that knows what Homestarrunner.com is, you guys award yourself 10 bonus points.
And Newgrounds was a jumping off point for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh hey, I'm just making shitty Flash games, but now I'm, you know, an actual AAA game dev.
There's a lot in animators the same way. We were actually watching Cass Vanderpool videos right before this, and he did all of the Disney and Pixar recap films. They're all like 4 minutes, but like the animation and the writing is like really good for all of them. And you have like
the comedic timing is fantastic.
Yes, they're
as well.
really good. So somebody that knows Cass, like tell him like those are good. Those are good. Like, keep making them. I think that's his only way of making money, so of course he's gonna keep making them. But like then you have like people that became like business tycoons. Maybe not tycoons, but like were able to step into their own businesses.
Yeah.
But speaking of Newgrounds, like Egoraptor, he had like the awesome series on Newgrounds. YouTube started to be better than Newgrounds, so when it came to animation and movies, everybody flocked to YouTube, and then. From that, like, he was still making awesome series cartoons, and then he's like, hey, I'm best friends with this guy who shares a love of video games, so I'm going to make a video gaming show because Let's Plays were starting to get popular. And now Game Grumps is a thing, and he owns a business. He owns and is a business. That's just really cool.
And look at Ed McMillan. He started off as an indie game dev, and then Meat Boy took off like storm.
Yeah.
And now Binding of Isaac is about to release its second expansion on consoles.
Something like that. No, I just hope the time comes. Like, there are a lot of animators specifically on Newgrounds that have been doing this for like 10, 15 years now, and a lot of them are just like so different and just like better than what you see in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I want these animators to like get contracted with Disney or get contracted, like by an independent to like make their own movie. Because I think that would do really well for like the cinema space.
You know what I haven't seen in a while that as far as I know has never been in mainstream media?
What is that?
I really like sprite animations.
So do I. There's an odd nostalgia
to
sprite maps.
So like I used to love Four Swords Misadventures, which is set in some Zelda universe with 4 different links, but it's all sprite work.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic. I would love to see an actual feature-length movie that's just 8 and 16-bit sprites.
Yep. So would I. I know there was 8-bit theater.
Yeah.
It was very similar to that, but it was all like Final Fantasy stuff. I don't remember for certain if they were ever in tandem with the guys who did the Final Fantasy D&D role-playing misadventure, or it was I attack the darkness. I am Galstaff, sorcerer of light. How come you had to cast magic missile?
Are there any girls there?
You're not there. You're getting drunk.
Well, if there are any girls there, I want to do them.
I miss Legendary Frog.
I love Legendary Frog.
I think we all know what we're talking about when we say, anybody who knows what Legendary Frog was, again, 10 more bonus points. And I know when I say Legendary Frog, you and I are probably thinking of the same short.
We might not be, because I watched all... Oh, I am now. Yep. Okay. Yep. Come, Genny.
There are hungry mouths to feed. Oh my god.
No, so when you said Legendary Frog, and immediately I thought of On Random Battles. Good choice of party members, Cloud. Aerith and Tifa. They're hot.
I need to find all those and watch them again.
So good. And even the not directly video game related stuff, like he has All Your Pie, which is just Ark and Kerrigan. Kerrigan being from StarCraft, but not really, and Ark being his own OC.
Yeah.
So Ark there's a pie on a table that Kerrigan made, and Kerrigan tells him not to eat it. Kerrigan goes off screen. Hilarity ensues.
I love when you can set up like a premise with like very little detail.
Yeah.
It's like, I did a thing, don't do this thing, okay, and then 5 minutes of content comes from that.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what made Homestar Runners so cool. Was like, every character was really not that dynamic. You had Homestar One, oh, he's a terrific athlete, and then you had the punching glove wearing, email checking strong bad who is just the heel of the show, and he's mean, and he makes fun of his dumpy little brother and kicks the cheat around. But like, everybody was very one note. No, shouldn't have done that. Gonna start coughing. Continue.
So I've actually not seen any Homestar Runners, so I really don't know what he's talking about. So if you do, that's another 10 bonus points.
You're missing out.
Yeah, I should go back and watch a bunch of things. There's just so much of the, I don't want to say early internet, but I guess that's kind of what it is, the early internet days, the early days of user-created content.
That's really what it is.
And I think I think we're going to see a new renaissance of user-created content in the near future.
I mean, we realistically, you can't go to YouTube anymore and find something that hasn't been done yet.
Yeah. And if it's been done by, tons of different
You
channels.
have the originator of the thing, and then somebody came along to copy his fame and did it worse, which angered somebody else entirely into doing it better than the original guy, who they didn't even know existed.
And then you have other people who happen to like it being done worse and then took that to the
And
extreme.
then they copied it.
Yep.
That was the angry video game nerd stuff. And I almost full-heartedly believe that's how Let's Plays started.
I believe it.
Started with James Rolfe and Cinemassacre, I think.
How great is AVGN?
Wonderful. Like, I think everyone with, like, a long-standing history of YouTube gaming or YouTube media creation or anything surrounding video games for at least, like, 6 years or older knows and respects the AVGN.
And like, we all love games. It's hard not to. They offer, great escapes from reality, just things you can't do, and some of them help with emotions, some help with learning.
Yeah.
They're fun things to experience. That being said, some of them are frustratingly difficult for completely stupid reasons. Whether the game was just made too hard on purpose, or there's a bug that prevents the game from being completed. Just things that frustrate you.
Yeah.
And it's fun to talk about sometimes, and with the case of AVGN, to embellish that to the point of absurdity.
Yeah. That was, like, a lot of people's first... that was one of the first concepts of a show where you're putting on this veneer to just, like... It wasn't one of the first. Okay, I may be seeming like nothing existed before this, but as far as, like, YouTube creator content, amateur filmmaking, it was a good mix of comedy, charm, time, effort, subject matter. That is what makes Angry Video Game Nerd so special. I'm not saying that there aren't better things, because there are. I'm not saying there weren't good things before that, because there were. But he was this magical butter zone of everything colliding in the perfect place. Which is why I say AVGN, and people know who he is. He's prolific that way.
So many great bits, too.
I'm worried about his bowel health.
Well, I mean, he's fine. He's got the Jaguar attachment. The one that looks like a toilet.
Yeah.
That they hardwired into the machine to try and get it to work, and it still didn't.
Yeah. You want to talk about that for like 15 minutes? Add-ons for game consoles that we either didn't get or didn't work.
Some of them are cool. Like I like the idea of a modular system and building on existing tech. The Famicom had a disk system.
Yeah.
So it's a cartridge-based system. The controllers are hardwired directly to the system.
Which was cool.
Add more. But now you can plop a disk system on there and like do your taxes.
Yep.
Like actually do your taxes.
There were a lot of the first video game. They weren't even video game consoles. They were entertainment centers, where like you could do multiple things with them. They weren't video game consoles. They were family computers.
So like the ColecoVision and Intellivision and all stuff like that. Those are actual computers first, gaming consoles second.
Yes, because there was, I think it was a ColecoVision that was in, I think it was National Lampoon's Family Vacation, where Clark's trying to like plot like on a map like what route they're going to take, and Russ is like chasing him around with Pac-Man.
I like programming. I don't do it enough, but I like programming. And I like that the old ColecoVisions, Ataris, whatever, to play these games, you had to actually program them in yourself.
Yes.
And that was either accomplished with typing out the game yourself entirely and making sure you don't have any typos, or like loading it from a cassette tape where just the different sounds correlated to different keystrokes.
Yeah.
And you could copy games just with a tape recorder.
Yeah. There was what is it? In my grandparents' basement. Sounds really weird. There is a, I believe, still functioning Atari 2600. That is the oldest console I am familiar with. Anything before that, like the family computers, like you were talking about, like the ColecoVision and stuff, which I think we also have, but I have never played. When it comes to stuff like that, I was never versed in that kind of stuff. Like, I was born in 95. Like, there's a certain point where, like, the expectation of my knowledge for old technology is going to taper off. And that would be that point. Like, Atari 2600 and its later variants, and then gaming consoles from there, I am pretty knowledgeable on. But when it comes to stuff like Intellivision and ColecoVision, anything with a vision on it.
Yeah, that's about the extent of my knowledge as well. My first system that I actually played myself was the Nintendo Entertainment System. So I didn't have access to any of the older things. They just weren't really a part of my life.
Yeah, and the N64 was like, I think that's really what our first consoles were.
Yeah, so the first console,
maybe not how you were introduced to gaming, but like
the first console for me and my siblings was the N64, and the first game I ever played on it was Banjo-Kazooie. And I remember my dad set it up because me and my brother were just stupid kids who didn't understand how to plug things in.
Looking back at it now, it's like super easy.
Oh, yeah. But like, we load up Banjo-Kazooie and, you know, Banjo's talking, but we see words on the screen and he's just going, and my dad asks, is it supposed to be making that sound? And my brother and I, absolutely, yes, yep, absolutely.
With no context.
No context whatsoever. We had never seen this game before, had no idea, we just wanted to start playing. It turns out that was correct, and it was actually supposed to be doing that, but we had no idea of knowing that.
Thank you, Grant Kirkhope, for making those sound effects, by the way. How easy could it have been to really just... Well, actually, back then, I don't know how easy it would have been to incorporate voice acting.
Especially with space limitations.
Yeah, was it doable? Yes. With as much text as in that game? I don't think so.
Especially making it sound good for Gruntilda's rhymes.
Like, you have... Like, because, like, the N64 came out with Mario 64. Mm-hmm. And one of the very first things that happens is you get Princess Toadstool doing the... Dear Mario, please come to the castle, I baked a cake for you.
That you never get.
That you never get. Or I think you get it at the end of the credits. It's just like a JPEG file of cake. But that's the only like voice acting in the game. That's the only like text line that isn't sound effects like Bowser's laugh or stuff like that.
No, the first system that was mine personally was the PS1.
Yeah.
And not the launch model big gray bulky thing, but like the smaller, more portable one.
I loved the original spaceship PS1 model. I love that thing.
The first game I had for that was Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage. It is a fantastic game, and if you haven't played it, go play it. It's in the Spyro Reignited.
Yep.
So Spyro 2 did not age well from a graphical perspective. The game looks terrible. However, I prefer the design for Ripto in that game than I do over Reignited.
Yeah. Because with a higher level of fidelity, like the room for your imagination goes away because everything now, that's just how it is.
They kind of change his personality as well. Like he's yes, he wants to take over and rule this world, but he's kind of a bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
Whereas in Reignited, like, no, this is the villain. He's here to take over, and nothing will stop him.
Yeah.
I don't...
Yeah. What is it? I remember, because I didn't grow up with Spyro. I didn't really grow up with a PlayStation. I think my first instance with a PlayStation was actually the PlayStation 2. And it was to play Dance Dance Revolution. And that prompted us to go out and get our own PS2 to buy like 3 different copies of Dance Dance Revolution games, 2 dance pads. And my brother and I did that like exclusively for a year.
So here's a thing that is a terrible idea, but I still want us to try it sometime.
Go to the mall and play Dance Dance Revolution?
Maybe eventually. Let's set up both Dance Dance Revolution and Rock Band at the same time. Hopefully playing the same song. And just dance and play and try not to bust our asses.
I mean, I have actual instruments.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't know how to play instruments. Well, I know how to push colored buttons.
You should ask me if I could teach you how to play different instruments, and I would show you.
But I like the colored buttons.
So do I. Guitar Hero was really onto something. That game sold very well.
Oh yeah. Plus, like, there's a never-ending stream of content.
Yeah.
But the only issue is, licensing.
So, yes. It's funny you should mention, like, the never-ending stream of content. There's a YouTuber I watch, for all of your music theory needs.
Someone should tell Matt Pat.
No. Please, no. I don't want that fourth corner ever filled in. But it's a YouTube user named 12Tone, where he just talks about, like, nitty-gritty specifics. Actually, he has a Patreon where people will, like, suggest songs for him to talk about and why they feel and sound the way they do, and he explains using music theory why this song that sounds this way evokes this type of emotion.
Right.
Where he was talking about how, and I'm gonna make a lot of people angry by saying this, he has a video where he talks about, like, think about, like, classical composers. Like, I was gonna say Bach, but he's not classical. He's Baroque period, which is right before classical, but think like Mozart.
All right.
Mozart, Beethoven was a little later, but when I say classical, for all the people that are actual music theorists, I'm encompassing like 500 years of time. I'm not talking about late classical, Baroque, and like all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about like a bunch of different people. But like specifically, if you think Beethoven, if you think Johann Sebastian Bach, if you think Mozart, we think of them to this day as the greatest musicians that ever lived. We are told and taught that this is the case solely for aristocratic reasons.
Fair.
At the time that they were alive and composing music, this is a bit of a history lesson. At the time that they were alive and composing music, that was how they lived. They made money being paid by an artisan to essentially work for them and write sonatas and symphonies and movements. And that was their job. That's how they made money. So if you think of them as true artists, they were doing it for bank. So it's not like, oh, they did it for the love of music. They did it for a paycheck. And the reason why we are told that they are such great composers is because the rich people that paid them to make the music they make, to make music that they wanted to hear, essentially had the money to archive this music and put it up on a pedestal as saying, we're so cultured, us rich people, we can afford to listen to this music that we had made specifically for us, while you peasants and all of your folk music, that's just common trash, which goes up all the way into now. It's like you have people that still complain about classical music is only it's the truest form of art, and only classical musicians know how strong music can actually resonate with it. No, music is entirely subjective. There's no mathematical reason for anything in music. And what's the best part of all this is, if they were alive today, if Mozart were alive today, Beethoven, Bach, they would be flabbergasted to know that their music had survived that long. Because the going belief and theory was that music should just be a product of its time and then forgotten about. We live in an age where literally you can listen to music from any time period as long as we have the original footprint for it. And music is forever now. It's just hilarious.
I want Mozart to compose Cake by the Ocean. just because. No, so speaking of rich people and like, oh hey, we can do anything we want and we're gonna buy whatever we want. Did you hear about this artist who I think it was for
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Let's talk about this because I want to.
So this is a fantastic story. So I think it was for a museum. They contracted this artist to make them a piece of art and paid him $84,000 to do it.
Well, so how it actually happened, they gave him $84,000. It was it was like a Northern European country. It's not here in the U.S.
Yeah, something like that.
Where the original anticipation was that the money was going to be incorporated into the piece.
Okay, that changes things a little, but I mean, it still fits and it's still hilarious.
Oh yeah, the boot still fits the model.
So the name of the piece is called "Take the Money and Run." It's a blank canvas.
It's 2 blank canvases.
It's 2 blank canvases.
They commissioned 2 pieces.
All right. Okay, that makes it better. I think that is absolutely fantastic and is like the truest form of art out there. Like he got paid to troll them, but it's not really a troll because like art is completely subjective. So this is art. It's performance art, but this is actually art.
So what I hate about this situation is the museum is moving into litigation.
Which is understandable, but silly.
No, but here's the stupid part. They're still displaying the pieces. They're still making money off of people coming in to see these pieces. So they're not only gonna bring him to court for the money back, but they're still displaying his art to make more money off of it.
That's fantastic.
It's horrible. But no, what he did to shaft them first, absolutely wonderful.
I want to get away from saying, shafted or screwed over because like he delivered what they asked for.
Oh yeah,
it's just they weren't
not
clear
the
what
way they
asked
wanted
for.
it though. But he's using the argument that with a contracted work, there is potential for breach of contract, and that's what he did.
I don't know.
It's not that he didn't deliver it's not that he didn't do his job. It's they didn't deliver what he wanted, but he is done. So the contract is technically breached. It's a weird litigation situation right now.
It'll be interesting to see in the courts, but I fully support this artist.
Oh, so do I.
Just the name of the piece is fantastic.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
So, like he got the Mona Lisa, girl with earring, take the money and run.
I think it's the girl with the pearl earring. Whatever. The Scream.
Yeah.
I want to like make a bunch of art pieces to install in like these famous art museums that are like another, like a lost addition to the original piece to make sense of it. Like I want to paint a picture of the Scream, but his feet, and there's him stepping on a Lego.
All right.
Like that's what I want to see.
So some of these art installations, I read a story about this group of people went into some museum, put a banana on the floor, and left. When they came back later, the banana was in a glass case.
I thought it was this might just be a different instance of that, but I remember it with a pineapple.
It might have been a pineapple. I don't remember. But the story is still the same.
Yeah, I love that though. They came back a day later and it was on a feature under glass. I was like, oh, all right.
Just like, I don't understand art, but I think the whole art industry is silly.
It is. Anything, I don't think people should be able to get away with claiming what high art is.
So, if we're gonna go around that route there, so a lot of these art auctions are money laundering and tax evasion for rich people. So, like, you can have an appraiser come in and say, oh, yeah, this painting is worth, $20 million. And then you can, donate the painting to a museum. And now, all of a sudden, you've made a $20 million donation to this museum.
Yeah.
The paint costs, what, $5?
Well, more than that. I don't know if
it didn't cost $20 million.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever tried painting in oils. Like, just getting set up for that can cost like $40.
I don't care. But
yeah, not $20 million, obviously. Yeah.
Plus, like it's art. It's subjective. It means different things to different people.
It should be priceless.
Yeah. And not priceless like, oh, hey, there's nothing else like it. You can't. No, it's unquantifiable to put a price on it.
There's a difference between priceless and worthless, and both total to zero.
Yeah.
Like, priceless is when it's like ad infinitum. It's like, this is somebody's emotions. It's their blood, sweat, tears, and time went into this piece. You can't pay enough money to afford the feelings that went into this piece.
And on the same token, what is that worth to you? What are you willing to pay for this? And is someone else willing to pay that same amount?
Yeah.
Odds are the answer is no.
Which is why, like, buying art doesn't make sense to me in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I have a friend who's an artist, and I've commissioned works from her before, and I've paid her, but, like, that's a vastly different thing.
Yeah. You're not buying something that is pre-existing.
Yeah.
You want something specific. But that something specific does not exist in a form that you can get your hands on.
Right.
So you go to somebody with that talent to be able to say, can you make me this?
Right. And I'm paying realistically.
You're paying for a service.
Yeah. Whatever she wants to charge me, that's what I'm going to pay. But, like, we both know it's not worth $20 million. So like, that's not even a number in the conversation.
Yeah.
It's a transaction between the artist and first-party sale.
And
there is no appraiser.
Yeah, and in that instance, like, the artist is in control of how much whatever is worth.
Exactly.
And that's usually discussed before she even starts working.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. No, that I'm all in favor for.
Yeah.
I like the idea of artists of any kind, musicians, like pen and paper, digital artists, whatever. If you classify yourself as an artist, I think you should be able to make money off of doing what you want to do. I think
in any way you choose to.
Yes, I think the idea of buying old art does not make sense.
Especially if we're talking about super expensive art, just for the purpose of, oh, hey, I had this appraised, so it's not cash on my books, but it's an asset I can sell later. It's
like when you look at, like, the marble busts and marble statues of, like, Greek and Roman times, and how they're listed in, like, some of the, like, the statue of David. Like, it's not that it was created, it's that it lasted. The reason why stuff like that is so important to the art history and society is because a lot of stuff like that was made at that time. But, over the course of time, things break and things erode down to nothing, and stuff gets lost.
Yeah.
So it's like, why art is so expensive, why ancient arts or classic Renaissance arts are so expensive, is because they lasted. I get that. but I don't think we need to be throwing around millions of dollars and fuck you money. I can afford this. I just think that's unnecessary.
Especially because, like, where does it end? Like, you get a modern artist and he puts a brush to canvas and, oh, hey, now this single paint stroke is $20 million. What about ancient cave paintings?
Yeah.
Like, is that worth $20 million?
Nope.
Are we carving out the rocks there?
You can't hang that on your wall.
Exactly.
You can't throw a fancy, soiree and have, Melinda from the large development across the way and her 6-digit figure husband accidentally spilled wine on your cave painting wall. And then you get to sue them for damages.
I don't understand art. Like, I understand pretty pictures. There are things I want to see that I'll pay to see, but, like,
I know what I enjoy looking at.
I don't understand the exorbitant price tags for a banana duct taped to a wall. Remember when that was a thing?
Yep. I think it just gets to a point where rich people have so much money that they don't know what better way to spend it.
I don't. We got so many problems in this world that could be solved with just giving people some money, but we're going to spend $12,000 to duct tape a banana to the wall. All right, that makes sense. Sure.
Well, you don't get it because you're not an artist.
Yeah, all right. I'd fucking eat the banana.
While it's still duct taped to the wall. Now it's worth $35 million.
In some fucked up world, I'm sure that would be a thing.
Yeah. And, like, there's just a Polaroid photograph of you taking the bite out of the banana that is worth nothing.
Of course, no.
You making the art is not worth anything.
But if you put that in a frame, now it's worth millions.
Yeah. After it's been, like, locked in your attic for, like, half a decade.
Yeah.
And then you pull it out, but don't even dust it off. And you're like, is this worth anything? And they're like, yes.
So, you say that, and it reminds me of a thing. A friend of mine had soda bottles, still sealed, still with soda in them, I think from Woodstock.
Ugh.
And, like, they wanted to get them, like, laminated or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like, encased, but keep the ash that was on them. Yeah. So like, big fire at Woodstock or whatever, there's smoke in the air or something, it's settled on these bottles, wants to preserve that on the bottles.
I get it. You want to capture the entire moment.
I don't.
Yeah, I think there's a point where it's like look at Aladdin's lamp. To get the thing to work, you have to, like, clean the dirt off of it first.
Mm-hmm.
I think pretty things are worth their most when they are in their most pretty state, and human beings just like shiny things.
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't care either.
I mean, granted, we started this episode off as, oh, look, shiny, but, like, I don't. It's a piece of metal. Who cares? I'm more interested in the lamp for the genie inside, not just
exactly.
Yeah. So about the Zelda movie, there's a perfect cast member there in Zelda Williams, who is named for the princess.
Yeah. She's done stuff.
Has she?
She was, you didn't watch it yet, but
I
she was...
I don't watch a lot of things.
She was the bad guy in the 4th season of Legend of Korra.
Oh, cool.
She's done other stuff. That's just the only example that comes to mind.
Yeah, I should finish. I should start watching that. I've watched some episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I have not gotten all the way through it.
He's gotten, like, 10 episodes into season 1.
I knew it was Boomy from the start of the episode.
That was a fun episode,
It
though.
was a fun episode. What is my name?
What? It's my name. And I love that, like, the lesson came back around.
Yeah.
Because, like, Aang figured it out on his own. It was like, in every challenge, I had to think outside the box from how I normally would. And then it snapped.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I know his name. I know.
Yep.
What I love right before that is I know his name. Rocky. Because of all the rocks. And Katara's like, that's a good... we're gonna keep guessing, but that's a good second.
The subtext there, Aang, you fucking idiot. You're sounding like Sokka right now.
Love Sokka. God.
I should watch more, but it's a good show.
It is a good show. I like the overlying message of the show.
Yeah.
And it's not one that, like, have we talked about this on the show? Not in a format I think that the audience has heard. I think we've talked about this before. That the concept of the show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, it is quite literally a show for all ages.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can watch this show and enjoy it and appreciate it for what it is.
I like shows that, yes, it's fun and entertaining, but they deal with important messages in engaging and easy to grasp ways.
Yes. The overall narrative of the show, really at a basic point, is that corrupting power is bad. And I'm not gonna, like, spoil anything because you haven't seen it, and I'm sure there are people that haven't seen it.
So I haven't seen it, but I at least know some of the overarching storylines.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything for the audience's sake, but it's like every nation has good and bad. Like, there's no real black and white. Like, the Fire Nation is painted from the beginning as these bad guys, but it's like not everyone in the Fire Nation is evil.
And I haven't gotten that far yet, but I do know that Zuko gets a redemption arc. He stops being, main antagonist villain and starts...
That's kind of hard to avoid.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as it happened, like, that was a big deal. That's a show you couldn't make today.
Yeah, especially Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
So I think the writers wanted to do more, but Nick said no. Or maybe they didn't ask Nick and just went with it.
They wanted to do less.
Really?
Brian Konietzko and Mike DiMartino wanted to do 2 seasons of Korra.
No. I mean, like Korra and Asami and their relationship.
They didn't want to do that even.
Oh, but
not that they're anti-gay, but that was just gonna be a nice way to cap off the franchise.
I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought like they wanted to expand on the relationship.
I mean, you're not really.
I could be wrong.
You're not really filled into it. Like, you have to read this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to read the subtext from the get-go, and that's only halfway into the season.
Yeah.
And then nothing's ever said. It's all subtext. But no, originally they didn't want to do season 3 and 4 of Korra. They were gonna do 2. I think they were gonna do 1. And then Nick was like, "All right, we're giving you another season." They're like, "Oh, all right. Well, I guess we can do more season."
That's another thing that goes back to what we were talking about before. Just making everything about money and not about a creative vision anymore.
Yeah. I still like what they were able to do with it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. It's just like Transformers again.
Yeah. Every episode you're gonna complain about Transformers.
I don't like corporate greed. But like, make something because you want to make it. If it makes you money, great. But don't make something for the express purpose of exploiting an IP for money.
Yeah.
Don't spin off SpongeBob.
Like this show. We're not being sponsored by anybody to do this show.
Yeah, no, we're not getting paid for this.
This is just literally this is a platform for us to vent our frustrations and talk about whatever we want.
And
this is art.
I mean, really, that's what it is. And I think not being sponsored by anyone, not being told what we can and can't say, is something a lot of creators don't have.
Yeah.
And I think it brings a real authenticity to what we're saying and how we say things.
Yeah. not to be confused with, I don't want to be held down by any like agreements with a sponsor that that controls my speech.
Right.
But it's not solely my First Amendment right thing. It's like, I do fully agree and appreciate the strength of the First Amendment, but freedom of speech does not imply freedom of consequences.
Yeah.
So it's like, there have been episodes already. This is episode 3. I have cut out plenty of content from episodes 1 and 2 with stuff that maybe we shouldn't talk about not because it's inherently wrong,
right,
but we are a platform that is still small enough that if anyone wanted to make a claim of insincerity, that it could probably make us look bad.
Yep. I don't care if people think I look bad. I look bad, so, whatever. But, like, I don't want to...
I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
But, like, on the same token, if something is good and we enjoy it, like, our opinions on it are genuine.
I think people should not be looking for sponsors to satisfy.
Yeah.
I think people should genuinely want to sponsor a product.
Yeah.
Like, with me, it was Dollar Shave Club.
Yep.
And I think that's unfortunately where it started, was getting a sponsorship with Dollar Shave Club was easy to do. Mm-hmm. But they actually have a good product. Mm-hmm. I still this is not a sponsor. I still have my subscription. I still get I have the executive handle as the 4-blade blade structure, the heads and the stuff, and the Dr. Carver shave butter. It's actually a good product. I'm not being paid by Dollar Shave Club to tell you that. This message has been brought to you by Dollar Shave Club.
No, but really, we're not sponsored. I shaved my face with a rock down by the river.
You don't even shave your face.
Because I'm using a rock down by the river.
I beat my face with a rock down by the river.
You've been smoking doobies in a van down by the river.
That's where I thought you were going with it.
Man, I miss Chris Farley.
I was going to say that if you didn't. Have you ever seen the
big guy in a little coat?
Have you ever seen the found footage of him as Shrek?
That sounds amazing.
There's sport storyboards and I think it's 6 minutes of sound clipping with just different lines from the movie with him doing it, because it was originally DreamWorks originally wanted Farley to be Shrek.
Yeah.
And then he died.
Yeah. That whole era of comedy, Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, David Spade, they're titans of comedy. And I know Adam Sandler is polarizing for quite a few people.
That's exactly the word I would use.
Yeah. You either love him or hate him. There's really no gray area.
There are movies of his that I love and movies of his that I hate.
Yep.
There is no Adam Sandler movie, I think, that I can look at it and go, that's all right.
I don't know. I remember I forget what birthday it was, but we got Big Daddy on pay-per-view, and I watched it 6 times in a row.
That is one of my This Is a Good Movie movies.
30 packets of ketchup.
What kind of name is Julian? What do you want to be called?
Frankenstein.
I can do that.
When did they stop serving breakfast at 11:30?
I don't know. Still to this day. Breakfast ends at 10:30.
So I am okay with that.
Yeah, I am too.
There was a push a while back for breakfast all day every day, and
I think when you have a company that works on, maybe not McDonald's, for example, because they don't have to worry about working on thin margins.
Yeah.
But with a restaurant of any kind, breakfast is served during breakfast, lunch and dinner are served during lunch and dinner. Mm-hmm. Because if you wanted, there are some there's some restaurants that break that mold, I guess. But it's like when you do work on a thin margin, it's easier to just like, yes, you can only get these items during this time of the day.
Well, that's not my issue. My issue is if you're gonna push for breakfast all day. We used to work nights. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I want a burger.
Yeah. Like it's your 5 a.m. is my 5 p.m.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's dinner time. I want a burger. I want fries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, if you want to do breakfast all day, great, fine, whatever. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that.
And that's the inverse of that also worked because it's
exactly.
Like I'm coming into work for breakfast essentially or lunch. It's like maybe I want French toast, I want eggs, I want bacon. It's like it's 10 o'clock at night. So.
Yeah. I don't know. We live in a 24-hour society that people don't seem to realize is a 24-hour society.
There are some things I don't think need to be open 24 hours.
That's fair.
Like, I don't think TJ Maxx needs to be open 24 hours.
I can understand that. On the flip side, I've seen gas stations that close at night.
Yeah.
Like
that doesn't make
what?
sense to me.
Like, oh, hey, I'm on this cross-country trip, and I scheduled to stop at this gas station, and I'm completely on E. I have to sit here and wait for 10 hours for them to open again.
Yeah, and I wasted all my time. I think that might depend on where you are.
That's also true.
Because I think it would almost be criminal to off the highway turn yeah.
And those little off-highway towns are very nice.
Yeah.
You know,
some of them.
Places with truck stops. The one up north, not too far, has a very nice restaurant.
Yeah.
I think it's even a way station.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the name of the restaurant or the town. But...
I remember when I was moving back up to New York State from North Carolina State. I drove like 740 miles. 650 of them I was on Route 81.
Yeah.
And it's like I must have got off at like 3 different stops to either gas up or eat something, and it was a 10-hour drive. And honestly, I enjoyed the places I stopped at more than where I was going and more than where I was coming from. Maybe I should have just stopped in like Virginia and been like, I live here now.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I guess makes sense, but I was a stupid kid and didn't realize the world is bigger than just what I see. So Cracker Barrel is not just a single location.
Yeah.
There's a chain all up and down wherever.
They're actually who I was thinking of when I was talking about breakfast for dinner.
They actually have a book exchange program.
Really?
So like you can go in and like grab an audiobook and then go about your business on the highway and then stop into another Cracker Barrel location and trade it out for a different audiobook.
That's actually awesome.
Right?
Man, just another reason for me to love Cracker Barrel. This episode was not sponsored by Cracker Barrel.
But their shops are so fun too, though.
Yeah.
It's filled with candy
it's
and
a gift shop
things.
first.
Yeah.
Like you walk in before you can even get to the restaurant part. Like you have to look at all their cool stuff.
And like even if you don't like Southern cooking, like it's real down home country favorites. Like this is
like
the comfort
just like Mom used to make. Yeah. I used to get the same thing all the time. I'd get the Mama's French toast breakfast. And I don't think I've ever eaten anything else.
Yeah. The atmosphere in there is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Like you don't see many places with fireplaces anymore.
Yeah. They have the high vaulted ceilings and the lattice, the wooden lattice partitions,
and rocking chairs and old knitted wool blankets.
Yep. It's like they hired the Amish to make the place.
I mean,
them.
Yeah.
I could argue that's actually what's happening.
Which isn't to say that's a bad thing.
They're not regional either. Like You could go to a New York City if there was one.
Yeah.
You could go to a Cracker Barrel in New York City and then one in Iowa, and they would
It's
look
the same
the same.
building,
It's
yeah.
the same store.
And just all of the not dollar store toys, but that kind of chintzy, you're buying this because it's in a gift shop.
And you never buy it. You play with it while you're
Yeah.
waiting to be called for your table.
Yeah, because they have displays for a whole bunch of them.
And they're all broken displays because it's like everybody plays with them.
Yeah.
But that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
It's like, God. This is not sponsored by Cracker Barrel.
But we might be going there after the show.
I'm down.
So on this episode, we talked about superpowers, movies, Nicolas Cage, and
There was a lot of Nicolas Cage talk.
You think Nicolas Cage has ever been to a Cracker Barrel?
I'm pretty sure he's lived at one. I live in the ceiling, they never find me. I'm friends with the rats.
I want to be the mouse.
I want to be the mouse.
Sorcerer's Apprentice was a fantastic, stupid movie.
How... I don't think it's something that should stop because I like the artistic intent, but how do you take how long was the original Sorcerer's Apprentice?
I don't know.
It's a 6-minute short.
Is that all it was?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was the third of like 12 parts of the original Fantasia. I think there was more than 12. But no, Sorcerer's Apprentice is a Mickey Mouse short where he wears the red robe and the Master Yen Sid's hat, which is Disney backwards. There are people that don't know. And he makes a broom come to life to do his chores for him, and he falls asleep and the brooms flood the place and the master comes down and he red seas all the water out of the place and he kicks Mickey in the butt or something. I don't remember. But so how do you take that? It's very simple. There's no words, all music, and make how long is that movie?
It's feature length, so at least an hour and a half.
Yeah, at least 90 minutes. We're gonna take a 5 minutes long clip essentially and stretch it to an hour and a half. Now it has to have plot and side characters and
But it's got Nicolas Cage and a Faraday cage with music.
yeah.
That's a thing that I would like to learn more about is using electricity and the arcs to create sound waves.
Yeah.
Electricity is such a fantastic thing that has enriched our lives in so many ways. Like, you would not be able to listen to this show. We would not be able to record this show.
We would be very different people.
Yeah. We would be Amish at the Cracker Barrel.
We'd be the Amish people building the Cracker Barrel.
But, like, just the sheer amount of things you can do with electricity in different ways. Like, if you have the know-how, you can build a circuit to do whatever you want. And on top of that, with computer science, you can then program these circuits to do even more than what the electricity alone can do. And just it is shocking to me, no pun intended, just how little that not only myself but other people know about the things around us in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
Like, I've built a few circuits myself. I have a portable power box that allows me to take mains power off the grid and go do things. But, like, it's very simplistic, and obviously it can be designed better, but it is just the sheer amount of things that people can do just with a little electrical know-how. It's unfathomable.
Oh yeah.
And I want to learn more.
No, I think it's That's actually like learning about how stuff works.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that science keeps pushing the narrative that like space is the last place to explore.
It's not.
It's not.
There's so much more.
There's like Alaska. We don't know what's in Alaska. We settled part of it. We bought it from Russia, settled part of it, and we just leave the rest of it alone. Same thing with northern Maine. And that's just US stuff. What about the ocean that the continent is literally covered the surface with for 74%? Surface of the earth is covered in ocean?
Something like that.
And we only know what's in like 8% of it. Like, let's explore the deeps. Let's explore. I'm not going down there, which is why I understand. We'd rather go to space than search our own ocean because that shit's scary. And I get that.
All right, so here's a quote that I think people should be made aware of. As our circle of knowledge expands, so does the circumference of darkness surrounding it. Albert Einstein. And what that's saying is, as we learn more, we learn that there's so much more to learn.
Yeah.
There's so much that we don't know, even how much we don't know.
Yeah. For every one thing we learn, there's an infinite number of things that we don't know.
Yes. And as we've said before, never stop learning. It just enriches your life so much more than you can possibly imagine.
This show's going to go on for I don't know how long, but the only good advice we ever gave people was episode 1 where we said don't stop learning.
And you know, put Nick Cage in more movies.
Yeah. I think he's contracted to do contracted. I don't know why I say contracted like he's getting sick.
He's shrinking. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with Nick Cage.
Honey, I Shrunk Myself. What is it? He's contracted to do like 6 movies a year, I think.
I don't know.
Which it's like he almost has to do them because virtually he has no money.
Yeah, he's made some bad investments.
He has a very indulgent lifestyle.
That too. Yeah.
He learned how to act from his pet octopus.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Although octopi are very intelligent.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know.
So I just move my lower legs like this. Well, that's cheating. I don't have 8 arms.
Well, maybe you should grow some. It works so well for Otto Octavius.
I'll try doing that.
I like Doc Ock.
Yeah.
He's
I like Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
I think that's what made the character work so well.
Again, I've not seen the other Spider-Mans, but I think the original Spider-Man trilogy is a fantastic movies. I've seen parts of Spider-Man 3, just not all of it.
You saw the parts with evil Peter Parker, I bet.
I don't remember.
I wouldn't call him evil.
I like that Peter is a dick sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, read the comics.
Yeah. I mean, even in the movie, I don't see how that's my problem.
Yeah.
After the rink announcer or event organizer, whatever, says, "Oh, hey, I'm not giving you money. It's not my problem." And then he gets robbed, and Peter doesn't stop.
I already invested all that money in Slim Jims. Keeps Bonesaw happy. No, did we talk about this on a previous episode? We're at episode 3, and I'm already asking this.
Yeah. That's part of why we do these episodes, because we can't remember what we talk about.
That's part of it. That's part of it. Welcome to Deviant Tangents, where we do that. No, if you read the Spider-Man comics, like, not the Golden Age Spider-Man where he was more nerd, but, like, there was a time in between, like, maybe the Silver or Bronze Age Spider-Man where he was equal parts nerd and equal parts smartass. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, yes, he's a genius, and he delights in the fact that he's a genius. He is smarter than you, and he knows it.
Peter Parker is an elf.
Yeah. If you didn't say it, which I knew you would, that was the direction I was going to go. But it's like, yeah, I fail to see, like, I don't get how that's my problem. And just like, he's always been very sassy. That's why.
And I think that makes for a good character.
Yes,
as well.
that's why the comics of him and Deadpool work so well.
Yeah.
Because you have Deadpool who's nothing but mouth.
Yep.
And then you have Peter who has this attitude and has to like go toe to toe essentially with another ego. It's Face Off, the superhero comic.
I can't wait for Deadpool 3, and I can't wait for the inevitable crossover with Deadpool and Spider-Man. I hope it's Tobey Maguire. It's not gonna be, but I hope it is.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. Like a Taskmaster movie where Deadpool has to team up with Spider-Man to go after him.
Yeah. I can't. It'll be even funnier if, like... So, licensing is an issue with Marvel movies and things like that. So, like, I want there to be a Deadpool movie where they don't have the rights to use Spider-Man, but they skirt around it using Deadpool movie magic anyway.
Yeah.
This is my friend here, Parker Peters, and you know,
Parker Peterson.
Yeah.
That's like, I wouldn't put it past, like, the idea of a Deadpool movie where he just, like, all three Spider-Man actors are not playing Spider-Man, but are in the movie as themselves.
And he points them out, yeah.
He's like, hey, you're that actor that was in that movie.
I love Deadpool.
I like Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. I still need to watch Free Guy.
I hope it's good. I haven't watched it.
It
I
sounds
wanna
like
see
an
it.
interesting premise.
It is an interesting premise, and I want to see it, but I don't know how it could be or if it is good. I haven't done any critical review of it, and I haven't seen any reviews of it, but it's not getting panned, but it's like it's a serviceable movie from what it looks like.
It's not hyped up as much as Guns Akimbo is for us,
Yeah.
so we can actually watch this one.
Apparently, a lot of the big hype was the marketing for Free Guy, because like there were a bunch of, I'm gonna pull them up because I'm finally using the internet. There were a bunch of advertisements that like basically featured this movie as.
So I've actually not seen any trailers for it. I think the only image that I've seen for it is just him walking away from an explosion with a cup of coffee. I think that is my only exposure to the movie at this point.
So there were like 8 or so. I'm gonna look it up. There were a bunch of posters made for Free Guy. So you had the original one, but then there were a bunch of ones that paid homage to video games.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Let's see if this article has like all of them. But there's like a Mario 64 one.
That's pretty cool.
And Street Fighter. And Doom. Vice City.
This is fantastic. Oh my
There's
god,
a Minecraft one. There's an Among Us one. Animal Crossing. Like, these are all good. The original Mega Man and NES one. I was hyped to see this.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check this movie out.
So no, I as soon as I saw all those, that was definitely the point for me where I decided I need to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Is that all the show is?
It's just us being nerds.
We complain about stuff we don't like, and we talk about what actors we think are cool.
I mean, it's 3 episodes in. You're just noticing that now.
What video games we like, and what people we would have on our show.
And how insurance companies shouldn't be making choices that your doctor should make.
Yeah. Between this episode and the next, I'm going to see if I can get Kermit the Frog on the show.
Oh, we might not have the licensing for Kermit, so we might have to get...
I'm going to go to that Jim Henson Foundation, and I'm going to be like, hey, can we borrow Kermit? And they'll probably turn me down, and I'll have to come up with something.
Yeah, we again, we're not sponsored by anyone. We're not making money with the show, so like our budget is kind of limited. So if we're getting special guest stars, we might be getting, you know, bargain basement C, D,
bottom of the barrel
F list. Yeah.
Ben Stiller. We're getting Ben Stiller on the show.
I mean, we still have a standard to hold ourselves to.
I don't even have a problem with Ben Stiller.
Neither do I, but that was an easy joke to make.
We're getting Nick Cage on the show? Is he the show now?
I want to be the show.
Welcome to Deviating Tangents, the show where I own it now.
It's just the Croods 3. Nick Cage making noises into a mic.
This podcast, under my rule, will be sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
I dislike mobile games. I dislike grindy, exploitative mobile games, which unfortunately is a large majority of them. The freemium, time-gated, but if you really want to do anything, you have to shell out tons of cash to remove the time gates.
Pay-to-win gotchas.
Yeah. So, like, Pokemon Unite is another one of those mobile games. Like, yes, it's on console, but it's designed as a mobile game that has a lot of the gacha mechanics. You have to open this random loot box that could have this thing in it, but probably not.
I think that a game that has vanity effect like that, sure, it's there, but that's one of the things that I like about Overwatch, for example. Mm-hmm. All of the characters have multiple skins, and the skins are usually, there are even like holiday skins and Olympics and Chinese New Year and just a bunch of different skins. But I don't think anything beats their original default skins. All of their defaults are the best looking skins in the game.
I mean, I can understand that, and again, art is subjective, so if people like a certain skin, they're going to like that over default, whatever. I understand it. It's just, I don't, like, if I'm buying a game, that should be the end of the transaction.
Yeah.
I don't want to be...
Unless DLC comes out for it later.
We'll get to DLC later.
Let's talk much later.
Yeah.
Like if you have a game that came out, and it was itself... Let's say that a game comes out and it is all-encompassing. Mm-hmm. But then there's demand for a second one, but the creative team doesn't have enough, not resources, but doesn't have enough material to make another game.
So The Witcher 3 and its DLC, I have no problems with that. That was handled fine. I used to be a big World of Warcraft gamer. I have no problem shelling out for an expansion. That's fine. My issue comes when there are more things on top of that. The microtransactions, and especially the alternative currencies to disconnect you from how much money you're actually spending on these things.
Yeah.
And the randomness to these loot boxes that may not be entirely random, and also you can't see the odds of whatever you're trying to get.
Yeah.
So you have no information going into these things, and no way of knowing if the odds are actually what they say they are.
Yeah.
And if you look at one of the Need for Speed games, so Hot Pursuit maybe, I forget, but the random loot box mechanic is an actual slot machine.
Yeah.
So like, how can you tell me that these are not gambling when it's a literal slot machine?
Yeah. So in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, which is a mobile game, which is awesome, by the way, I think it handles very well. It's everything I want in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Mobile game. Mm-hmm. You can get not coins, but like you can get... I guess it would be. It's an in-game currency that lets you buy packs in-game. Mm-hmm. All of these packs go back to a set, which has a certain number of packs in them. Mm-hmm. And there are multiple copies of different cards, but the super rares and the ultra rares have, like, obviously there's one of each or less of each. Because, like, normals, like, unrare stuff, there's, like, 8 copies of the same thing. Mm-hmm. And there's only, like... Let's say there's only 100 packs in a set. So you can buy one pack which has 3 cards in it, but it is perfectly random which one you're getting. And when you pull those 3 cards, they're no longer in the pool of things you can pull from.
Okay.
So if you just happen to get bad luck and you pulled 3 normal monsters, 3 different normal monsters that there's 8 copies of. The next time you go to buy a pack, there are 7 of those.
So it's essentially a built-in pity timer.
Yes.
All
so
right.
you can exhaust all the resources.
That I can kind of get behind. So that's an interesting design space. I play Magic the Gathering, so I'm no stranger to buying booster packs. I'm a little leery of digital booster packs. Again, because they can say the odds are this, they can say it's completely random. Without looking at the code yourself, you have no idea.
Yeah.
And of course, they're not going to let you look at the code.
Yeah, who do you think you are, Dream?
All right, well.
He admitted it. We can talk about it.
He is...
We don't need to talk about it, because, I mean, it's a kid that plays Minecraft. He's younger than both of us. He has millions of YouTube subscribers and overwhelming amounts of success.
The simplest explanation from the beginning was that he was cheating. And I'm going to hire this Harvard astrophysicist to do maths for me.
That wants to remain unnamed.
And he determined I was fucking cheating. So, fuck, man. If you're caught, you're caught. And even if there's a possibility, oh, hey, I didn't know I was cheating. If it's a possibility, don't say unequivocally, no, I was absolutely not cheating.
Yeah.
Because now you look like an ass. I don't know.
It didn't affect him either.
Yeah. It's all about clout.
That's about drama. He was trying to make a big deal out of it so that he could just wash his hands of it later when he officially wanted to retire this isn't picking up as much steam as it was. Okay, now I'll come out and say I was cheating. And hopefully that drums up new drama, which bring more people to me.
I mean, we're talking about it, so I don't know. I'm not a real big fan of speedruns anyway, and
I am. I love that scene.
I don't mind it. It's just not content for me.
Yeah. It's like, to know a game really well is one thing.
Yeah. But
to be able to break a game in such a way.
I can understand the technical aspects of it, and yes, that is enjoyable. I'm not going to sit and watch
if
someone
it's not
live
for
stream.
you, that's fine.
Yeah. If I'm playing Minecraft, it's because, I have
I want to build
10 hours uninterrupted. Yeah, so I can build a computer.
I play Minecraft to build a computer that plays Minecraft that builds a computer that plays Minecraft that builds a computer.
So if you're looking to get into electrical engineering and designing circuits and things, take a look at Minecraft.
It's $20.
In older versions, I think you can get for even cheaper, but especially look into modded Minecraft, because in Minecraft there's redstone, and it's essentially real world electricity. It's binary on and off.
Yeah.
And there's an analog state. This is a redstone power of 15. This is a redstone power of 4. The signal will travel this far, etc. Whatever. Pistons move blocks. Blah blah blah.
Full bridge rectifiers.
So with modded Minecraft, certain mods expand on redstone to new heights. With vanilla redstone, you're limited to how compact you can make your circuits, whereas with something like red power, now you have individually colored wires of redstone that can go up walls that vanilla redstone dust just can't. And you can make super complex circuits with just a few different colors of wire.
Yeah.
And send those over the same line with bundled cable and things.
One of these days, I just want to make, just like sit down with like a wooden box and just make a circuit that does I don't know what.
So, I've seen some things. This guy has built essentially Minecraft blocks in real life that actually function. So like he made a redstone torch and a redstone lamp, and you can put the torch on the lamp and it'll light the lamp.
Yeah. I just mean, like, it doesn't even have to be Minecraft. I'm just thinking, like you've seen them. The box that has a switch that turns itself off when you turn it on.
Yeah. They have made that in Minecraft.
Of course they have.
Have you seen the dueling useless machines?
That turn each other on and off?
Yeah.
I haven't, but as soon as you said dueling useless machines.
It's just a useless machine, so it's got the one lever, it opens up, turns itself back off. Then you put another one next to it with a stick in between the levers.
That's funny.
So as one pushes one off, the other one turns on and turns itself off, turns the other one back on. It's hilarious. I love it.
That's like have you ever seen the video of the world's most dangerous device where it's the automated tentacle that someone taped a knife to? He's like, well, I turned it on, but now I don't think I can turn it off. So if anyone would like to come over and try to stop it.
I love the stupid things people can do with just a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of hard work. Like the guy who cooked a chicken by slapping it.
I love like practical science experiments like that. If pressure creates heat without
kinetic
pressure,
energy turns into potential energy. Yeah.
If you can create heat that way, can you cook a chicken by slapping it?
Yes.
The answer is yes. I love the scientific basis of asking a simple question like that and then just going into tests. It's like, of course there are, but strewn out throughout the entire...
You can't just impart all of that force at once. The chicken will explode.
Has to be done over time, and you have to get a proper heat.
And you have to keep it sustained heat for it to be technically cooked and safe to eat.
The only thing I think that fails at is power efficiency.
Oh yeah, it is absolutely not efficient whatsoever.
Yeah. But otherwise, it's a perfectly functioning machine.
Yeah. Just, it broke down a couple of times.
Twice. Had to remake it. I think he eventually cooked a steak, not a chicken.
Yeah. He did both.
Oh. Yeah. I remember the original tests were chicken.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know what? I don't have to try as hard if I use a steak. What I love about like food science is the concept, and no one ever has a reason to think of this, but now that I'm saying it, you're going to think of it every time you eat a steak, and it's nothing gross. The way that the fibrous tissue of meat cuts work, the inside of a cut of meat is sterile.
Mm-hmm. It has never been exposed to air.
Nope. So it's just like, I love thinking about things that way.
That's why it's relatively safe to eat rare or medium rare, whatever cuts of meat.
Yeah.
You don't need to turn it into shoe leather.
You just need to, not all of it at least.
Yeah.
You just need to really just sear the outside really good, and that's it. Although apparently the cooking process makes meats easier to digest.
Yes.
Which is why we still do that, but you can eat most raw meat and be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Apparently that's part of what our seemingly useless appendix was for.
I mean, raw meat is not inherently bad for you. I mean, look at sushi.
Yeah. Well, even then, I think because of the oily nature of fish, that might aid in the ability to break it down, but no, apparently, I don't have all the scientific reference on this. But...
Yeah, we are not scientists. Do not take anything we say as health advice.
And this is years ago, so the science may have changed, as it does. But from what I remember, it is possible that the reason that our appendix was originally designed to help us break down like things that were just too either starchy or things that were too rough for our bodies to handle on its own. I don't know how it would do that.
I think it's also a store of good bacteria.
That also.
Yeah. So there's a fun fact. A majority of your body is not your body. It is bacteria that lives in and inside you.
Yeah.
Or on and inside you.
That's like, who was it that said that? It was a science YouTuber. I can't remember who, and I have the feeling that looking it up is going to take longer than.
Yeah.
Or you know what? It was Jess and I were watching a TikTok, and it was a doctor. It wasn't even a scientist. It was one of the doctors. Where every time you fart, that's not actually your fart. That's the end process of bacteria digesting whatever it was you ate and then deteriorating. So what you're actually excreting out your backside is the vapor of dead bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a secondhand fart.
Because if it wasn't gross enough before...
I'm sorry to anybody listening to this while they eat lunch.
I mean, as long as it's a steak that's cooked decently, you're fine.
As long as it's a steak that was cooked by slapping it, you're fine.
Oh boy! Now I want a steak and sushi.
I've been getting away from steak.
I probably eat too much of it. I really enjoy it.
Like I love I would prefer like a good cheeseburger over a steak.
Make a cheeseburger out of the steak.
I don't want to spend the money to do that. But it's like my all-time favorite meat is going to be chicken. Like I eat too much chicken, but it's still my favorite meat.
And I'll do a lot with chicken.
Yeah, and I'll eat it until I die. It will always be my favorite.
No, when I have the means to, I'm going to like get high quality cuts of meat and like my own meat grinder and just like make burgers out of the best quality steak I can get.
Yeah.
And also pastrami. I want to make a pastrami burger that I made myself, just for the sake of doing it.
Like dry age your own meats and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like not butcher the cow, but like everything beyond that.
Not because I'm like a masochist by any means, but like I wouldn't mind doing that, like for the sake of the experience.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to make a life out of it. Like,
yeah.
I slaughter cows for a living. I don't think that's for me, but.
And now we're getting calls from PETA again.
I would do it once for the experience of being like, this is how it's done and this is where your meat comes from.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to know how things work and where they come from. Again, there's so much we don't know about the world around us.
Yeah. And how, like, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. That,
like, because, like, meat butchering is like holds hands with the invention of high heel shoes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people wouldn't think that.
So that's a thing that is nowadays attributed to women, but back in the day was meant for these male butchers to walk on these floors without getting their feet covered in blood.
Yeah, and viscera and chunks.
Yeah,
it wasn't even necessarily made for men. It's just men happen to be butchers.
I mean, back in the day, it was a very patriarchal society.
Yes.
Which is,
but it's like if you had a family of butchers,
yeah,
and the wife could also do the butchering.
Yeah.
But yeah, in case you didn't know that, high-heeled shoes were made for butchers, so they didn't step in blood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, high-heeled shoes shed blood walking down the runways of fashion estates, and you got those high-standing stilettos that break
your toes as you even wear them. I don't understand the point.
I don't understand why society...
I don't understand fashion.
I don't understand why society puts such a large... Like, there's such an extreme label on what is good looking.
Mm-hmm.
Some parts of you need to be dainty and small, but other parts of you need to be large and bold.
Yeah. Like Lady Dimitrescu. You know, she's got to be 7 feet tall and have, M cups, but she got a little bitty size 0 waist. Cause
she's pretty thick with 2 C's.
What? Yeah. So her waist is small, but then she got the dump truck.
It's not even. That is, if she wasn't 9.5 feet tall, that I would honestly say. I think the bust is a little large, but I would say that is a believable
Maybe.
Body size. But it's like she's a vampire also. Yeah. So it's like, why?
She gets her superpowers.
Fashion to video games to anatomically correct body sizes.
Welcome to Deviating Tangents,
where we do that. If you look at her face, she doesn't have like a thin face.
Yeah.
She has a very round face. She has kind of a stocky neck. She doesn't have a dainty nose either. Like, this is stuff that I notice.
I have not played the game, so...
It's like, by conventional standards, I wouldn't say that society would think of her as hot. If anyone does think of her as hot, it's because she's 9.5 feet tall and exudes big mommy step on me energy.
So someone that I used to know...
Somebody...
Oh, I hate that song. So I don't have a reason to hate that song. I hate that song.
My headcanon is you hate that song because you love it. He'd never released another single, so you're mad.
No, so like seriously, whenever the song comes on the radio, because apparently it still comes on the radio sometimes, I'll turn the radio off.
It's a good song.
All right.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know. I think it's the...
It's a classic, like Fireflies by
Oh
Owl
my
City.
god. So that's funny for a reason that no one's good. You know what? If you said that, you know who you are, 50 bonus points. You're not going to remember.
I'll tell the story. He's not even listening to this show.
No.
I'll tell the story. We used to work with a kid who, I mean, the time that he spent on our team, he never worked with us directly, but like on our shift.
Yeah.
He seemed to be like pretty like capable of like handling his job and stuff, but he was a kid, so like he kind of dicked around a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a job where you needed that.
Exactly. He just happened to be working in the same area as us one night, and Fireflies by Owl City comes on the radio.
Good song.
And he's in another aisle. We're not even working on the same aisle as him. We're like the next one over, and he can hear us talking. And Fireflies comes on and goes, "Man, this song's a classic." And we're like, "Excuse us?"
We're talking like classic Beatles, classic Queen.
Yeah, like putting it up there with like
Fireflies.
Yeah, like Hey Jude, Bohemian Rhapsody, Fireflies.
I do miss Fireflies though, like not the song, but like the actual bugs, because like I haven't seen them in a very long time.
Yeah, we get them around here,
I guess.
Well, you didn't leave your room all summer.
I mean,
so it's your fault.
I go out at night. I do things. I'm hip. I'm with it.
But then they changed what it was. It'll happen to you.
We wore an onion on our left side because that was the fashion at the time. Oh God, we are Grandpa Simpson now, aren't we? Son of a bitch.
Old man yells at a cloud in the park.
But there was a tangent I wanted to take, and then the train kept going, and I don't remember.
If you can think about it, we can handle that next time on what will be episode 4 of the Deviating Tangents podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody so much for listening. I figured I'd give you guys a little bit longer of an episode, seeing as we missed last week, so
yeah,
hopefully making up for lost time a little tiny bit. So thank you everybody so much for listening. There better be an episode next week. If not, I'm gonna raise some cane.
That sounds like something we should award bonus points for, because
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's just like an age demographic thing. Well, even so, but we're bad at outros. Bye.
Oh, look, shiny.